Hey guys, this is Pete from CrunchTimeCoaching.com, and what an upset. Who would have thought that Pospisil, if you don't know, beat Andy Murray last night in the first round of the Indian Wells tournament, which for right now is one of the biggest tournaments we have in between the Australian Open and the French Open. And so everybody's there, everybody's geared up, and Murray just won in Dubai. He looked strong. He looked like he rebounded very well from the Australian Open loss to Zverev. But what was shown last night is that Andy Murray, which doesn't seem to make much sense because he's such an amazing returner. Many people lately have been saying that they think Andy Murray might even be a better returner than Novak Djokovic. That's an argument. At least it's a debate, right? And people are saying, yeah, he's as good as Agassi off the return, better than Djokovic off the return. So you would think that he would match up very well against a serve volleyer that can give him targets. And Murray looks incredibly fit. He's very fast to the ball. So he would have like the perfect makeup to me to match up very well against a serve volleyer. But yet, this is now two serve volleyers in a row who have taken him out. There's not many serve volleyers out there, which, by the way, if you're watching this match, at least if you want to go out there and play Andy Murray, I'd be pretty jacked up and pumped up to learn how to serve and volley a little better if I'm going to go play Andy Murray, because obviously he does not like that style of play where people are coming in on him off the serve. And Pospisil also a lot like Zverev, to where he would mix up the rhythm of the rallies a lot. He could hit big off the forehand. He has better, to me, ground strokes than Zverev does, who beat Murray at the Australian Open. So he's more solid off the ground, and he can hit over the ball on the forehand and the backhand. But he also used his slice beautifully. He had this great rhythmic slice that it didn't really like go quickly through the court. It just kind of floated through the court, but always deep, stayed low, changed the rhythm in a rally, which usually Murray likes to do to his opponents. And it's just kind of interesting that the people who have been beating Andy Murray have been changing up the rhythm on him. This is usually what he does so well to so many players, is he changes up the rhythm on players. But they are like constantly, going from offense to defense on Murray, and then getting to the net and putting that final pressure to make a passing shot, and upset him last night in 2 sets. And it's kind of interesting too, is that both players, Zverev and Pospisil, really hadn't done much on the tour until the match. Last year, Pospisil lost, they were saying, 11 first-round matches. 11 first-round matches. And I think he lost all first-round matches in the majors. And so for him to come out and win was huge for him. He had to qualify, which was interesting to me, because if you don't know anything about him, he's actually quite a solid player. He's the #2 player from Canada behind Ronich. And he's got a lot of skills. He's a tall guy. He's got a huge serve. He's a great doubles player. He won Wimbledon with Jack Sock. So he's a great doubles player, a lot of skills, but yet has not been able to win barely any matches within the last year, and dropped and went from being constantly ranked between 20 and 50 in the world to having to actually qualify just to play here. And it's been a lot of injuries, a lot of setbacks. His knee has been a problem. His back has been a problem. But now he feels physically strong, and he is being trained by Mark Woodford, who is a great Aussie, a very good volley player, serve and volley player. I don't know if you remember what a great doubles player he was, but he also had a very big upset against John McEnroe at the US Open one year. And it was very interesting, because one of the things that stood out to me in that match, I remember that match a long time ago, once they started to talk about how now he's coaching Pospisil, is he did a great job of really mixing up the pace and using that slice to eventually either get him a short ball or be able to move around and hit a forehand and approach. And so this was the big play, that really worked well. On Pospisil's serve, he did a great job of serving and volleying. And so he would serve and volley. But when he got into a rally with Murray, they'd be in this baseline rally back and forth. And all of a sudden in this corner, Pospisil, rather than come over the ball, which he could do beautifully. If you watch his two-hander, he had a great two-hander. Whenever he had a ball right in here, which you would think he could step in and rope, that's when he tend to come in and just knife that ball and float it to the Murray backhand, which again, you would think Murray would be able to take advantage of, but Murray wasn't able really to generate a lot of pace off of it. He wasn't hitting many winners. He wasn't taking the ball down the line like I think he could have. He just kind of put it back, and then sometimes it would land short, and Pospisil would run around and hit a forehand and come in, or he'd chip and get in there. And actually, that's a good lesson for you guys. You don't have to hit hard approach shots. He's a big guy. So being able to chip gave him, what did it do? It gave him time to get to the net and get really close to the net. He's a tough guy to lob. Murray didn't really lob him a lot, which I think he could have maybe done more. And he always tried to pass him. And he's a big frame, and he was able to cover the net. He also, because he was so big and intimidating, Murray missed a lot of passing shots wide in the match. So very, very interesting. Another setback for Murray. It's kind of weird because you're wondering, is there something wrong with Murray's game? He is also starting to serve his second serve when he's getting under pressure again. They mentioned how he's starting to serve his second serve slower than he was last year. Last year, they said he picked up his second serve by 5 to 6 miles per hour. And Paul Annacone was mentioning that he thinks that's one of the biggest reasons that Murray moved from that, number 3 up to number 2, ultimately to number 1, and was completely dominating by the end of the year. But now these are two players who are imposing their will, coming to the net and upsetting Murray in big tournaments. This is probably Murray's second biggest tournament of the year, right? Because you had the Australian Open, which is obviously huge, and then he won in Dubai, which is it's a good tournament. It's almost considered like a warm-up tournament, I think, for Indian Wells and for the Sony. Well, they don't call it Sony anymore. It's the Miami Open. I think that's kind of like a warm-up tournament for this tournament. A lot of players really eye this tournament, and it's one of the few tournaments they really want to win until they go into that clay court season, and then they head into the French. So this is another setback for Murray. Let me know what you think. Is this just kind of like, is it a matchup thing? Is it just because he's just not comfortable with serve and volleyers and he's not going to have to face too many serve and volleyers? Is this kind of like a freak thing that he ended up playing two very good serve and volleyers who got into the zone against him and exploited this? Or is there something wrong with Murray's game? Does Murray have to be more concerned about what's happening to him now, because this is now two early round exits for him to where he's number 1, and it's really his time of his career to where if he wants to get up and get to maybe 6, 7, or 8 majors, he's really got to make his move now, because I think he's very physically fit. I think that he's in his prime, and Djokovic has lost a little bit of his hunger. Federer's 35, Nadal's finding his way back. The younger guys are, starting to come into their own, but not quite there. So really, it's kind of like Andy's time to do it. I hate to say it, put up or shut up. I mean, he's had a great career, so that's like a terrible thing to say. But if he wants to be remembered in that category, when you look back at an era and you think, yes, it was Federer and Nadal and Djokovic and Murray. But to me, right now, Murray is so distant to those guys as far as what they've accomplished in their career. And if he wants to be really, really talked about in that light, he's got to get up to 6, 7, or 8 majors. Because right now, I think he's had a much better career than Stan Wawrinka, but they both have 3. If Stan wins the French, which he possibly could, he'll have more majors than Murray, which is really kind of hard to think about because Murray's been so much more consistent. But Stan has been amazing these last couple of years. And I think if he wants to separate himself from those other really, really strong players of this era and be remembered as the big 4, which would be a great thing to accomplish, he's got to win a couple more majors, and he's got to do it this year and next year, most likely. So he's really got to rebound from these tough exits and figure out a way to get back to dominating like he was towards the end of 2016. He's clearly got some work to do. Which is weird. He's got to start figuring out how to take care of these serve and volleyers. He's got to add that element to his game to where he returns a little better against them and he passes better, which, again, you wouldn't think would be a problem, but it obviously is a problem because this is now 2 tournaments in a row where serve and volleyers have taken him out. Another interesting stat, we're talking about how great Murray's return is, but they were saying in the match that Pospisil was returning 20, this is a big deal, 20 miles an hour faster off their average return. I think Murray's average return speed was 56 miles an hour and Pospisil was 76. So besides his counter punching the return and getting the ball back, he's got to figure out either A, on these serve and volleyers, how to hit just kind of outright winners. Like Agassi would punish serve and volleyers. They'd come to the net. I remember watching Agassi play McEnroe, and he would just torch the returns. That's one style you can play against a serve and volleyer, or he's got to get a lot better at getting that first return at the serve and volleyer's feet and make them volley up. But if you watch the match, you could see that Pospisil and Bosarev were getting a lot of volleys around their waist area and higher. And for a serve and volleyer, if you're playing well, you're going to eat those for breakfast all day long. So Murray's got some work to do. He's got to get his confidence back. His fitness looks great. I mean, he's moving great. That doesn't look like an issue. His ball striking looks good. It just looks like the pressure of someone coming to the net is something that he has trouble dealing with. So let me know what you guys think. What does this mean for Andy Murray going on to Miami, going into the clay court? Does it have any effect? Does it mean anything? I mean, maybe for his kind of mental psyche, he's probably not going to have to worry about losing to a serve and volleyer on clay. I would think that if he had to play a serve and volleyer on clay, the slow surface would actually be a big advantage, and they'd have trouble breaking through and putting that pressure. Murray'd have extra time, and Murray looks extremely fit, which you think would be to his advantage on the clay. I think his only weakness on the clay, I don't think he's as great a mover as he is. I don't think he's a great mover on clay. He doesn't look like he slides into the ball as naturally as Djokovic and Nadal. He looks like he labors around the court a little more than those players, even though he's just so fit and fast. So I think that if he's going to win the French Open, he's got to improve not his fitness, not his speed, but his natural flowing movement around the clay, and then he can win the French. So let me know what you guys think. Really want to know this. Before I sign off, I do want to share something with you guys, because if you're watching me and you love tennis and you love online instruction, there's something really cool coming up that I'm going to put into the chat section, and I'm also going to put in the comments and things like that, and on the video when the video becomes live. So right here on March 22nd, there's going to be a really cool free online tennis summit that I'm going to be a part of. I'm really proud of it. It's not my event, but I'm super happy to be part of it and support it. There's 25 world-class coaches that's going to go over all the techniques. So you're going to see that there's it's got 6 days, and on day 1 we're going over the serve, day 2 the forehand, which I'll be part of that. I was interviewed for that. The backhand, one-hander and two-hander, volleys, footwork, and then day 6 is how to implement it. And there's great talent talking there. We got Dr. Mark Kovacs, who's amazing. Jeff Salzenstein, very popular online tennis instructor from Tennis Evolution. Ian Westerman, who's probably the most well-known online instructor from Essential Tennis. Thomas Mensener from Field Tennis, who is very, very good. I know a lot of people really love and respect him. Kevin Garlington, who's a good buddy of mine from Total Tennis Domination. Johan Kriek, guys, remember him? Top 7 in the world. I mean, this is a really, really cool event you should sign up for. I'm going to put the link in there. Then we've got myself. I'm speaking, Florian Meyer, And the list goes on and on. And so take a look at these names, guys. Scott Baxter from Player Court, Oscar Wagner. And I am also, when you sign up, I'm giving away one of my courses here. We go down the list, and you can see that you also get a free copy, which this is real value of starting A to Z. There's probably like 40 videos there. So it's just not like downloading like a little 3-part series or kind of cheat sheet that you normally get when you give up your email address, but you're getting a full course that I've sold a lot of. So I think you'll really, really enjoy it. Let me go here and get the link for you guys. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. So we'll come here to the chat for you guys. Let's see what you guys are saying about Andy Murray. Pospisil is a scary player. Yeah, he's had a lot of injuries. Wawrinka can win this. Any upsets today? Sounds fun. Yeah, cool, guys. So we see that that guy, Fognini, big upset. That's right. Let me come back to you guys. I did not see that match, but that was a pretty big upset, especially considering that going into Indian Wells, Tsonga. So one of our commenters said there that Fognini ended up beating Tsonga yesterday, and Tsonga was one of the hottest players on tour, won a couple tournaments, looked very strong. His goal is to be in the top 8, which I think he's already accomplished, and then he loses first round at Indian Wells. So 2 very, very big upsets yesterday. Obviously, though, Murray is the biggest upset, losing there. What does this mean? Who's going to win the Indian Wells tournament now? I would say that you'd have to go. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to say, ooh, is this where Djokovic makes his comeback? This could be where Djokovic makes his comeback. This could be where Nadal kind of continues his hot streak. Federer loves this tournament. I would say those are your kind of 3 obvious choices. Wawrinka could do it. Although, has he ever done very, very well at Indian Wells? Let me know. I actually don't know that, which I feel bad about. I don't know if Stan, I think he might have won it one year, now that I'm thinking about it. Let me know. Who do you think is going to win Indian Wells now that Andy's out? Certainly opens up the field. Are we going to see anybody who's going to be a dark horse? Maybe, let's see, who was I thinking of? I think Zverev could do well, right? I think Zverev could do well as a dark horse. And then you've got, who else? Who else can win? Let me know. All right, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you on future videos. I'll keep updating you guys on my thoughts on these matches. And I hope you guys all have a great day. It's wet here in Atlanta, so I will not be teaching today. So I'll be probably watching a lot of tennis and doing a lot of work. So everybody have a good day out there, and thanks for watching today.